Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Adult and Pediatric Institute podcast. I am your host, Nicole. This is a podcast where we get messy, we get real, we talk about real life stuff, and we have limited filters. So it is April, which means it is Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month, which is very exciting. One of my favorite months of the year because we just get to celebrate all things autism. I think that it's important that we are not just doing that in this month alone, and that we are doing this year round, and that we are supporting individuals with autism and including them in conversations, because I'll tell you what, individuals with autism bring a whole lot to the table. This month on all the podcasts, I'm going to be focusing solely on autism topics in the spirit of things. And so today I have an absolutely amazing human, probably one of my favorite humans on this planet, definitely in St. Lucie County, on the podcast to share with you and talk about all of the great things she does. Her name is Arilea, and she is the founder of Autism Advocacy. So Arilea, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, Nicole. And you are also one of my favorites. I'm just have to say that as well. But thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to be on this platform. I'm really excited.
Yes, you do amazing things for our community members, and you do amazing things for me. You're one of those people on my list that if I'm really struggling, I know I can call you. So tell everyone a little bit about you, about your company, and everything that you do.
Yes, absolutely. Of course, you mentioned my name is Arilea Fenty, and our company is called Autism Advocacy. And the acronym for Chances is Changing How Autistic Needs Children Establish Success. So we are, fairly new to the community. We started off in 2022, and our mission is to provide a smooth pathway to help children and families through the early stages of an autism diagnosis. As I am a licensed clinical social worker, so my background, I come from working in early childhood education, working in hospice, nursing homes, dialysis, a lot of geriatric experience as well. But it helped me and empowered me to do what we're doing today. The focus with Chances is to bridge the gap for families when they get the initial diagnosis for their child. Just speaking from, I can say for myself, if that's okay too, Nicole, I also have a child that's on the spectrum too. So this company pretty much came from frustration initially. Just seeing that the services that wasn't being provided and the things that was lacking. So out of frustration, we kind of entered into this business to help the families just understand what autism is when they get that diagnosis, and kind of hold their hand and walk them through step by step along this journey.
Yeah, and that's terrifying. And I'm gonna potentially make you get uncomfortable here, but you're a therapist, so you get it. I'm gonna make you be a little bit vulnerable. I know when I first got my older daughter's diagnosis, I cried the whole car ride home because I felt like they had told me she had leukemia, and back then my rational brain wasn't putting it into place, right? But that's my truth. How did you feel when your son first got diagnosed?
Yes, and again, I just thank you for always, just bringing up the right conversations, starting the right topics. Is just, I'm just so glad you just asked that question. Because yes, going to, we first saw a neurologist. That was our first time, stepping into an office with a provider. And as a parent, you're already going in there very vulnerable, just kind of don't really know what to expect, right? And
you're terrified.
Very terrified. And you're hoping that this person on the other end is going to be so loving and understanding and willing to just educate you on this. But that was not the experience. We walked in, and literally maybe 5 minutes, the neurologist didn't even bother to look at the paper to see what my child's name was, didn't ask us any questions, just kind of observed him moving around the room, touching the toys. And he says, oh, he's autistic. He's probably never going to speak. Maybe you should get him an ABA and maybe a daytime program. And I said, what? Immediately I went from 0 to 1,000. I can feel the flames just bursting off my back. I was like, what? I'm like, you don't have the authority to tell me that my child will not speak. And I'm like, as a parent, and this is where the frustration comes with our company wanting to help too, because how do you assume that I even know what autism is?
Yeah, right? And like, how do I differentiate, especially he doesn't know that you're a therapist. He doesn't know any of that. And how do you differentiate with a parent of like, hey, maybe they think autism is cancer. Maybe they think that word means something totally different. So
Yeah.
he just dropped a bomb on you.
Just dropped the bomb. And then ushered us out of the room into the lobby. And, of course, the receptionist gave us a stack of pamphlets. And I got in my car with my husband. I looked at him, and my mother-in-law was with us as well. And I bawled my eyes out. And I was just like, I felt like the world was ending because I'm like, oh my gosh, what does this mean? He told me he's never going to speak. What does my future look like? You go through all these thoughts you're trying to process in the moment of this ridiculous visit. I'm just going to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It was like getting a cancer diagnosis or something in that moment. It was just really an awful, awful experience.
And it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't.
Ugh, that makes me want to cry. Like it does. It makes me get emotional because I think about your story and my story and all the other stories that we hear from these families. And you wish you could like capture them and just hold them.
Yeah.
And just be with them and say, I'm so sorry you went through this. If you should have never went through something like that, but then how do we help? And so that's what you're doing about it, is you're helping.
Right. Absolutely. That's what we're doing with Chances. We work with getting the parents to get referrals to have testing done and start the process. But the emotional piece starts from the first point of contact we make with those parents. When they call in for services, it's like you and I right now having a conversation. I have that conversation. How are you today? How do you even feel? Let's not even get into the topic of the child yet. How are you doing as a mom?
Oof.
Because sometimes you just need someone to listen. You just need someone to just hear you talk and listen. And, we talk, I laugh with my clients. I cry with them. We try our best to personalize it as much as we can. And then we have to get into the grunt work of advocating and getting things started. But some parents don't even really understand what the autism diagnosis is. And some of them just need to process what was done in that visit. So we do that too. Let's talk about that. Call me after your visit. Let's process how that went. What do you think could have been done differently? What do you think you need at this point? And then we move forward with it. So there's such a big advocacy piece of what we do, but I like to focus more on that emotional part because, again, as a therapist, when we got our diagnosis, you're looking at it from different perspectives. So I had my own feelings. My husband had his feelings in that moment, right? We're both looking at each other. I'm bawling my eyes out and he just looks stiff. And I'm just like, what do we do here, right?
Yeah.
But it's that adjusting piece, that mental piece that comes in where now you have to figure out how do we adjust in our life moving forward to meet the needs of this child, meet the needs in your marriage, meet the needs for your other children, your job, all these other roles that you may play in your life. And what does that look like when you have to think about this child that now has special needs?
Yeah.
So,
and what does that look like for his future and for your future?
Correct. It's an important part. So with Chances, we want to focus on not just the child, but I think the parent's mental health first. That comes first. Because if the mom and the dad is mentally in a place where they can now, go through that grieving process, because it is grief, whether people want to look at it like that or not, it is a grieving process because you grieve
100%.
Yes, you grieve the thought of, the child that you had. You're grieving. So it's like allow yourself to go through those stages and then empowering them to get to the point of now it's time to fight. Because if you don't fight, you're not going to get what you need for that child. So there's a thing that we have to follow here with that. But.
Yeah, and you provide hope. You provide hope for people because you were told that your son is never going to talk and, essentially institutionalize them, right?
Yes.
Yet look at how far he's come. And so you can use, and let me back up for a second. When I say look at how far he's come, I mean, he's using an AAC device. He has some communication, right?
Yeah, well, actually, no device, but he's actually talking.
Oh my God!
100%. I would say we're probably maybe 75% there. He's using sentences. He's able to express his needs. And with that, the behaviors have diminished completely. Yeah.
So because he can communicate, he doesn't need to get your attention another way or express his needs, but in another possibly negative way. He can communicate now.
Absolutely.
See, and so that's the power of giving hope to parents to say, hey, anything can happen. Don't ever no provider should ever take away hope from someone, ever. I don't care what diagnosis you're giving them. It doesn't matter. It is your job as a provider to allow that person to still hold on to their hope.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
be
Yes,
realistic, right? You can say there is a chance that he will never talk, but that's okay. There's other ways to communicate. It doesn't have to be verbal communication.
correct.
But don't say, yeah, he's never going to talk. You might as well just institutionalize him. Oh,
Absolutely.
that's
Absolutely. And having a follow-up, I think a follow-up visit to that. So even if that is the diagnosis you want to give, but meet the parents where they are. And I think that's our slogan, with our business, meeting the parents where they are, because, you may have a mom calling in and maybe she's not ready to get services for her child because maybe she's still in denial, right? With
yeah,
accepting the diagnosis. Or maybe she's accepting it, but the husband isn't, right? So it's meeting them where they are. And I think sometimes providers don't understand that part of it too. It's like, okay, yeah, you're ready to give me this diagnosis. I get that. But let me first understand what autism is. Like, let me sit with that. I'll come back next time and we can then talk about where you think I should go next.
yeah, yeah. And you and I talk about that a lot with the families that you and I both work with, is sometimes they're just not ready, and
Right.
we have to be okay with that.
Yes.
We're not on their path. We're not on their journey. That's their path. It's their journey. It's their child. And as providers, we can all of the education and the advice and the recommendations, but ultimately they have to be the one to decide the route that they want to take.
Correct.
And I think that providers have a hard time with that.
Oh, yeah.
I think therapists are normally better at that. I think because all the schooling that you guys go through, how to be an active listener and how to guide your client without forcing a client. But the other specialties, they really struggle with that, of coming to terms with that. And they take it personal almost.
Yeah.
Or it's
Yes.
like, but I'm a doctor, you should listen to me. Or I'm this, you should, I'm a nurse, you should listen to me, whatever.
Right. And while you may be the expert of your specialty, your field, the parents are the expert of their child, because, no one can ever come tell us about our child. We're with them all the time. We know our child better than anyone could,
Yep.
And that's one thing I tell parents too when we interact. I tell them, you stand on that. Stand on what you're seeing. Stand on the things that your child might need, because you are your child's biggest advocate. And if you don't advocate, it's not going to happen.
Yep. And don't let them gaslight you into thinking, well, wait, maybe he doesn't do that, or maybe she doesn't do that, or wait, maybe I'm making a bigger deal out of this than I should. That's, I feel like, a really big issue in the special needs parenting world of either other people are gaslighting you about your child, or you're gaslighting yourself about your child.
Yes, it happens. And I think I can't ignore this part. I think culture for sure brings on a whole level of frustration too with families going through this early stage of diagnosis, or just the journey itself, right? When you have culture and, you may have families that just think, your parents may think like, oh, it's just a behavior thing. Like you're not raising this child right, or you're not doing the things that you should do for the child. And it's like, no. So it's such a big, heavy educational component that comes with being on this journey.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I know adds layers of frustration.
Yep. Oh, yeah. You do a lot. You do a lot for these families, and I don't think you sleep ever. We're gonna raise money for you on this podcast. Everyone donate, please, so that we can send Arilea on a cruise.
I would love that.
So that she can get some type of respite care herself. So how did you end up getting into, I think you kind of already answered how you got into caring for autism and that population. How did you end up getting into social work?
Oh, well, it's actually interesting. I have a great aunt. She lives actually in Trinidad. She used to live in America, but she lives in Trinidad now. But all my life growing up, she would always tell me like, oh, you're going to be a counselor. You're going to be a therapist. You're going to be this. And I used to say like, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I did everything possibly not to be that initially. So graduated from school, and I actually had my journalism degree. My bachelor's was in journalism first.
Oh, I see you being a tough journalist, asking the tough questions.
Yes, that's where I was heading. And my first job out of college was working for the Early Head Start program in early education as a family service worker. So while being there, I had the opportunity to work with parents and getting them empowered to go back to work, go back to school, just kind of motivating them while their child receive the free childcare. So in doing that, it kind of it spiked my interest. I'm like, oh, like, I'm not really a social worker. I'm more of like a family service worker, but let me look into social work. And then from there, it just took off for me. I went back to school, got my master's in social work, and then I went the clinical route in doing it. So I've always had a passion to help people. That's always my thing. I feel every time you meet someone on the street or wherever, every conversation, there's an opportunity to either learn something or to give something. That's how I look at it every day.
Ooh, that's
I see
good.
someone, I'm learning or I'm giving. So
I
I
love
am.
that. I'm going to quote you on that in the future. I'm totally going to use that, but I'll quote you. I'll give you credit because that's a great one. You have the opportunity to either learn something or give something.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yes. So I wanted to, so I feel like I touched the whole spectrum of social work, I guess, because I worked with children, I worked with, young adults and adolescents, I've worked with the geriatric population. And, as much as I want to narrow down to say this is my niche, I love them all. So it's like however and whenever I can help, I'm ready.
You want to, yeah.
Yes.
What would you say is something that you've struggled with in your career, maybe as a business owner with the advocacy group? What's something that you feel like you've really struggled with?
I would say one of the things I struggle with is finding the right resources. I think that's my biggest frustration, whether it's working in the autism field or, in the medical with the geriatric, whoever. It's just really connecting, finding available resources. I'm going to say that. I think that's the biggest thing I struggle with sometimes with this business because, families reach out, they want the services, and I try my best to build strong community partnerships with the agencies in the area, the ones that are receptive to us at least, because I think that is the important piece that I can be able to say, oh, Mrs. Smith, you're looking for this. Let me go ahead and call Nicole over here. I know that they'll be able to take care of you. And it's not like you're just shuffling the clients into the system of, oh, just call this number. It's building relationships. That's so important for me, having those strong relationships that I can connect. So it's getting better, but I think starting off this business, that was the biggest struggle for us. It's just saying, okay, this mom needs, diapers, or this mom may need a special needs bed or whatever, and ripping your hair out trying to put the pieces together.
Trying to find that, especially in our area. What is the area that you will help with clients? Is it the Treasure Coast? Is it just PSL? Is it?
Yes, for right now, we're just focusing on the Treasure Coast, but I do hope to, to branch out. And to be honest, another little thing I do with the business, I never want to tell a parent I cannot help them. So I've gotten calls from families in Tampa, Jacksonville, all over the place. And while I'm not in their direct community, I make phone calls. I say, you know what? Let me find out for you. I'll make a couple of calls, see what I can connect you with. And I never want to hang that phone up and leave that parent just hopeless. Because sometimes they're calling us and we're the last phone call. They don't know where else to go.
Yeah.
So, and even if it's not even autism related, it's any type of unique ability someone reaches out for. I'm like, hey, that's not my specialty, but let me see if I can call and find something for you and connect you with someone.
Yeah.
So
there needs to be more intensive case management services for families, especially, free. Like, that'd be great if we could somehow fund more from the state or on the federal level, whatever it may be, fund more case management, just finding resources.
Yes.
That's incredibly difficult.
It is. One of the things we do is when they call in, Nicole, I want them to, the parents are already frustrated from the loop, right? We know what the loop is, all of what happens. Here's a brochure, call this person, call that person, and doors are just shutting in their face. So picking up the case management, while we don't want to enable parents, because we want to empower them to become that big advocate, because we're not going to be with them the entire time.
Absolutely.
But in the beginning, we do have some clients where we do have to hold their hand. We do have to say, you know what, Mom, I can see you're exhausted. Your child's not sleeping. Your child's having some regression. Let me take this off your plate. Let me make the phone call to Medicaid. Let me call these ABA providers and give me all your documents. I'll get them all scanned and ready to go. Let me connect that. So when you make that phone call, they have everything they need from you, and it's just to pick the pieces up and move forward. That is our mission.
Yeah.
But some parents don't need that. Some call, they just need a phone number. So whatever it is that they need, we want to meet them where they are.
Yeah. And now, how do you get funding for Chances? Do you charge clients? Do you accept donations?
We accept the donations at this time. That is something that we're working on, the funding, hoping to eventually somehow, if we can possibly connect the step up, scholarship, especially for the mental health component as well to help. But for right now, I don't want to turn any parent away. And you know that, Nicole, we've had conversations. I am just like, I don't never want that to be a barrier for a parent reaching out to us for support. And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, but my fee is this, and I'm sorry, I can't help you if you can't pay. Like, I don't want to do that. So while this is a business and we do have expenses and I do have to run it, if the parents can pay, absolutely. If they cannot, it's not going to be something that we're not going to help us.
Yeah. And that's what has always shocked me about you, is that you will run yourself into the ground for free.
I know.
Because your heart is just so big, and I think that's why we get along, because we're the same over here. Yes, we have a business to run, and yes, I have bills that I have to pay, and I have to cover payroll. And if you are listening now and you haven't listened to last week's podcast about healthcare billing and how broken that system is, feel free to listen in on that one. But I will spend 2, 3, 4 hours a night talking to parents that will never, ever, ever afford my company's services. They will never become a client of ours. They're struggling, and they're a human being. And regardless of how much money you have, you still deserve respect and care and empathy and someone to help you.
And sometimes you are that phone call that becomes that lifeline for them, right, in that moment. And I have experienced that, where some parents are just completely up there with ends, and it's just like, they need you. Like, how do you not? And I don't know, and I guess because, we're looking at it from different perspectives in terms of, we have a child on the spectrum, we are a provider,
So we know how that feels on both sides. Yeah.
Absolutely. And we know how many barriers are already in place. Like, I don't want to be the third one added to their list of, here it is, I'm calling someone else now and they can't help me either.
Yeah. Yeah. And I hear a lot of, oh my God, you're the first person that actually took the time to talk to me.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, we do too.
How sad is that, though?
Absolutely. And then going back to the question you asked about the challenge or the struggles that we have, one area I will say, and I didn't get to mention this, is assisting parents with the IEP process. That is another component of what we do as well. Because as you know, that's like going straight into the lines then sometimes with parents where, you're sitting across from professionals in this meeting where they're utilizing all this different jargon, and you're just sitting there like your head spinning, like, what is happening right now? Yeah. Right? So being able to help the parents advocate to get the services and the accommodations that's needed in the school settings for the children, that is a struggle for us, because the amount of calls that we get for that, and I don't have many, education advocates. I have one that is assisting me now, but I would like to have more, because such a need for it, that we have a waiting list right now for the IEP advocates.
Yeah. Well, again, for those of you listening to this podcast, if you know about IEPs and you've lived that life, feel free to give Arilea a call, but 100%, because that's a big one for us too. We see a lot of that too. I think unless you're an attorney, it's really hard to figure out and navigate that whole process.
It is.
It state statute and federal statute. So unless you're comfortable reading those, which if you can't sleep at night, I strongly recommend you pull up the child find statute and read that. It'll put you right to sleep.
Yes.
And your brain will hurt. But, unless you know how to read those and you're comfortable with it, you're going into it dark.
Yes, absolutely. And sometimes in the meetings too, Nicole, it simply can make a difference just having someone there. Even you just taking someone with you to the meeting sets a different tone in that meeting.
Yeah, absolutely. They don't push back quite as hard.
Yes, even doing that little tidbit to start with. Like, don't go in there by yourself.
Yeah.
Take someone with you.
Yeah.
For support.
So,
and it shouldn't be that way.
It shouldn't. It shouldn't. But you heard it from Arilea. She's recommending you hire an actor to just go in and sit next. No, I'm just kidding. That's not at all what she's recommending.
But that works too.
Yeah, right? No, what she is recommending, what I am recommending is donate. Donate to Chances Advocacy, because it costs money to hire education advocates. It costs money to hire advocates to be able to provide more and more services. And like you said, really, a lot of these families, they can't afford it.
No.
They're just trying to keep their head above water, or they're trying to put food on the table and they don't, when you're a special needs parent, it feels like every other day you're calling out of work because something else is coming up with your kid.
Absolutely.
Before we started recording this podcast, I had to tell you, hold on a second, because I got a call from the school about my own kid. It was like, oh my gosh, it never ends.
It doesn't. It does. And, and maybe, I don't know, maybe one day another podcast for you too is just really the day in the life of a special needs mom. Like the things that we do, and just having 5 minutes of nothingness, it's like winning the lottery.
Yes. No. You know what? Okay, so here's where I'm going to need to hire you as my therapist. I struggle with nothingness. I have such a hard time being able to just sit and do nothing. And this is something I've worked on to try to correct this, but it has a lot to do with my own anxiety. And when you're going a million miles a minute all the time and you have all of these balls up in the air, and if you drop a ball, this isn't like, oh, I dropped the ball, I forgot to get new shoes. No. This is like, oh, I dropped the ball, my child is not going to be able to go to therapy. Crap, I forgot to make that GI doctor appointment. Oh my God, I forgot to do this. Like bills aren't getting paid. We have no food in the house. I gotta go grocery shopping. Oh my God, when was the last time I went grocery shopping? What was the last time my kid ate something other than chicken nuggets for dinner? Like, when you're dropping a ball, this has major consequences in your family's life, in your life.
It does.
And so this is high pressure. And so when I do have a couple minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, where I can just sit, my mind goes berserk. Because I'm like, what am I forgetting? I'm obviously forgetting something. I forgot something. I know I did. And I cannot just sit and be.
Absolutely. And you're right. I was the same way, but I really had to practice it. And with anything we want to perfect, we have to practice it, right?
Yes.
And I mean, even as simply, I used to put timers on to just say, okay, I'm taking my 5 minutes. I don't care what's going on. The house is not going to burn down. I'm taking 5 minutes to breathe, just to breathe. Because sometimes we don't even realize that we're not even breathing the way we should be breathing.
Right?
Think about it. It is so much, and it can be so much. And I love the fact that you mentioned about just the hustle and bustling of juggling, financials and work and kids and all these different things. That's one thing as a vision for Chances too, is to create some type of a fund where a parent can call us and be like, hey, I don't have it this month to pay my light. I don't have it. And Chances can say, you know what? Look, we're going to bless you this month with this. Or we can select a couple of families throughout the month that we can say, here's a Publix gift card to go grocery shopping, or whatever the need might be. Or I have a flat tire and I don't have the money right now, because if I take the $300 to fix this flat tire, I may not have the gas to take my child somewhere else. I may not have the deductible to meet speech, or whatever it may be.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
So creating that fund is like a wish come true if it happens.
Yes. Well, if you're listening, you're a grant writer, again, please call Chances. I'm gonna drop a little bomb on you here, catch you off guard, because that's super fun to do to people on a podcast. I'm gonna bring up a topic that I was reading today. The Arc of Florida had posted it on Facebook, and it's talking about potential conversation around Medicaid cuts and cutting Medicaid services for special needs. And basically the funds that are reserved to provide services for adults with special needs that need additional assistance to be independent. So a special program, and it's essentially if you're an adult and let's say you have profound autism and you need someone to help you with your apartment, you need someone to help you get to work, you need someone to help you pay your bills, things like that. The state has a program that can provide that. And the conversation is now going to them wanting to cut that funding. What are your thoughts on how would that impact maybe some of the families that you work with if they were to cut the Medicaid funding for special needs?
The devastation that's going to happen. We don't even have enough now, much just to cut them. I mean, there's such a need now, to take it back, but it's going to affect so many. And, and I think I have to say this to answer the question too. as a parent, when your child's younger and you're going through the motion, you're working on trying to get to that child to excel to the maximum potential that they can, right?
Mhm.
There's another component that we don't want to think about sometimes as parents is that we're not going to be here forever,
Yeah.
right? There's a time where we're not here and now our child has to thrive, right? Whether we hope that there's family members that might step in to bridge that gap for them. But if our child is not able to be fully independent, then yes, these type of this program and funding is what's going to be needed to help them,
Yep.
right? To be in society. So it's like without that, then where does the parents turn? So I just hearing that, I mean, I can already feel like my hives coming.
Oh, no, okay, I'm sorry. I'm adding extra stress to your plate.
No, but I mean, I heard about it already. I knew it was kind of, they were working towards it, but to answer your question, it's going to impact them so much.
So what do you think we could do about it? What do you think let's brainstorm. What can we do about this? How can we help? What do you see as a possible solution for this?
Oh my goodness.
That's hard, right?
It is.
That's a hard question. Yeah, I think we need to be asking ourselves that.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I read a quote on I have one of those quote a day calendar. My husband got it for me. My husband, it's not therapeutic at all. And so the fact that he got me this quote a day mindfulness calendar, I was so shocked. Wow. I'm like, oh, honey, I'm rubbing off on you. You're right there. Good job, guy. But the quote this week, it was basically, don't spend your time trying to fix the old, instead focus on building the new.
I like that.
And that's the approach that I've started to take with my company and in my life and helping my clients is I've realized that, I'm not going to fix Medicaid.
No.
I'm not going to fix Medicaid in our country. I am not going to fix poverty and homelessness and the disparities in healthcare amongst different socioeconomic statuses and different races. I can't fix that, right? That's way bigger than me. But what I can do is I can try to find a way to build something new that will work within loopholes, within the current systems, so that I don't have to pull my hair out trying to fix the current system. Instead, I can find a way through it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think one of the biggest steps in that too is keeping this conversation going, like you said, right? Continue to talk about it and bring awareness more to it as well. And then just building a stronger community.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because honestly, as I did my own little canvassing of the St. Lucie County Treasure Coast, majority of the special needs programs in this area, most of them are being developed by parents who have a special needs child.
Yes.
A lot of them, I'm like, you know what? Because you just get so frustrated with the things that are not in place, and so yes, if it's not there, then create it if you can.
Oh,
so
yeah, and I love that.
I don't know, maybe, look, not that we need more on our plate, Nicole, but maybe we could start having monthly board meetings together, like different companies who's willing to have these conversations and see what can we do.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I think that there is definitely, as the stigma associated with autism starts to go down more and more, and people are understanding more and more that, listen, there's nothing wrong with autism. Right?
No.
It's just, it explains their way of thinking. It explains how they process information. It's just, it's a way that their brain works and you can better understand them. And so as that stigma goes down, more and more agencies, in my experience, are willing to not shy away from it, right? I think it's more daunting and overwhelming if you think of autism as this impossible disease and this impossible life sentence of struggle and just chaos and sadness and illness, and that's garbage. That is BS. That is not autism. I'm sorry. And I get a little heated when I talk about this because the other day, I'm not going to say who, nor am I going to say who they are with, but there was an individual yesterday on World Autism Awareness Day that gave a speech, and one of the things that they had included in their speech, it was like 2 minutes, maybe not even, about autism awareness, just to draw attention to it. And the comment was, let's pray for all of those that are impacted by autism.
Oh my goodness.
And my stomach just went into this ball.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I need to educate this person. It is my job on this planet to go educate this person because they clearly don't understand what autism is.
Right.
They are sitting on a freaking stage saying, let's pray for those impacted or afflicted by autism. Like, ew, man. No. I'm sorry, but if you want to go and pray for Bill Gates and all of his success, then cool, because his success is due to his autism. Like,
right.
Are you kidding? Anyways, I lost my train of thought now. Let me go back to where I was. But no, things like this are happening, right? And so as more people are becoming aware of it and getting educated by people like myself, because I will sit down and educate and on, hey, let's, it's ignorance. It's not malicious. They just don't know. They don't know.
No, they don't. And no.
So I will educate them. And as more agencies are getting educated on it, they are more willing to join in the fight. They're more willing to say, hey, we have this fund or we have this budget that kind of goes towards this broad category. We think that this fits perfectly in it. That our program with Children's Services Council of Norton County, I'm going to plug them. Our program with Florida Elks, I'll plug them. They deserve the plug because I came to them with this problem and said, hey, here's a problem. No, there's nothing out there right now that can help solve this problem. Here's my idea, my solution. Can you help? Right. And they jumped at the chance to help this population, to help people with autism. And so hopefully that continues, and I didn't have to get a law change for that. I didn't have to go through bureaucratic red tape. I didn't have to go through the government. I was able to kind of navigate around current systems in place to say, hey, I think that this program would fit into this funding pool that you already have designated.
Right.
And that's absolutely, and that's where I say we got to find loopholes,
Right. And again, building relationships, right? Building the community partnerships is so important too.
Yeah,
it is.
And I have no problem cold calling people. I will cold call someone that I have never met in my life, even if it's the governor. I don't care. I will cold call them and say, hey, I need help. And here's how I think you can help me. And I'm coming at them with the solution, not just the problem. Right. And I think that that's important for people to do is when you are advocating, if you're just coming at people with a problem, they got 99 problems on their plate, right?
Right.
They got all these problems that they're already trying to find solutions to. They may not have time to add your problem to their plate. But if you're coming at them with a solution to that problem, that's a lot easier. That's an easier pill to swallow.
It is. Absolutely. Something that we do as well in collaboration with a few other ladies that I do the group with once a month. We do a support group for moms who have kids on the spectrum as well. The way we create the group is to have a safe environment where you can come in and you can laugh, you can cry, you can pull your hair out, you can whatever you need in that moment, we're there for you to support you.
Yeah.
And we bring information as well. So we've been trying each month to just bring in a guest speaker to bring information to the parents. So I know starting on this journey, sometimes it's just so overwhelming with just trying to figure out what to do next or what resources are available. So as much as we can bring in to educate them in that group, we're doing that as well. So because this is Autism Awareness Month, we're going to have the police department, Port St. Lucie Police Department coming out to just talk about safety, elopement, and, the device that they offer as well. And then also fiddlers are going to come out to kind of educate a little bit about the whole IEP process as well, too.
Oh, my God. I love that. Yes.
So we're really excited to have them, come. So anyone listening to this podcast, if you are a mom and you just need that support, we're all moms there, including myself, that have kids on the spectrum. And
me. And you, when I have childcare and I can come, yes.
Absolutely.
And I'm here to testify. I have also cried in these groups, and it's sometimes you just need a safe space to let it out.
Yes.
And I get to be a mom in that group.
Right. Just being around other moms. We know how wide the spectrum is, right? We know that. And while our children may not have the same qualities per se, but just being with someone that understands that you're on this journey together.
Yeah.
We can share together. We can laugh, The things that we can say to each other there, you can't say maybe to another parent. They'll be like, what? Your child was eating sand? Well, I don't understand.
Yes.
Like, that's was great. That was progress. Like we made it to the beach.
Yeah. Yeah.
We made it there.
We're going to take that win. Oh my God.
Yeah, I love that. We already know being on this journey, Nicole, can be so isolating. And that's
So
why,
lonely.
suicide rates are high, the depression, all this stuff, because we create this bubble. We put ourselves and this child in this bubble, and it's hard to pop.
Yeah.
And when we get into that uncomfortableness, right, of having to pop this bubble and go out and expose the child to the real world now, it's fear, anxiety. So there's a lot of things happening. So just having a community of moms and just know that when we come in this group once a month, I can be me. I can tell you, like, look, I don't want to wash laundry this week, or I don't feel like cooking. I don't care about anybody else but me in this moment.
Yeah.
So one thing I can say with the group too, a lot of the moms that call us, Nicole, for the group, they ask about childcare. And I struggle with this because as much as I'm like, should we create a component of this group where they can bring the children? But then I'm like, no, that's the reason for it. It's for you to get away for 1 hour a month. Think about all that we do for our kids, everybody else in our life. 1 hour a month. I think we deserve that.
I do too. I think that there's a solution to that too. I think maybe we haven't found it yet, but there's a solution. See, look at me. My brain it automatically goes to like, okay, what's the solution? What's the solution? How do we fix it?
You are amazing.
We have to fix the world, right? Next, we're going to talk about world hunger. Right. Solve that problem. You and me, Arilea, we got this.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I just love talking to you. You give me so much hope for the future. You give me hope for our world. You give me hope for our autism community, that there's just people out there that genuinely care about other human beings. And you are that person. So I just...
And you are that for me too. And I always, and I mean, I'm just going to throw it, we're on a podcast. I'm just going to throw it out there. But I would never forget a conversation that you've had with me back in, it was 2022. And I was kind of in that fork in the road of trying to make a decision for myself. What, like, do I keep working for someone? Do I take the jump? Do I this? Do I that? And struggling with I guess, accepting that my child was not, he was school age ready, but he wasn't physically ready to be in a classroom setting. And I remember you looked at me, I was bawling my eyes up, but you looked at me and you was just like, it is going to be okay. Just meet your child where your child is. Who says that we have to who says we have to follow and go to school when everybody says we have to go to school? Let him work through what he needs to work through. And when he is ready, he will get there. And I mean, those words, Nicole, every day I replay those words. And I'm like, I'm so glad that I had you to pour into me in that moment, because, I don't want to cry, but it helped me. It made me realize, like, you know what? You're right. Why am I going to throw my child into a classroom setting where he's not going to be able to sit and attend? He's not going to retain any information. We have to get the behaviors in line. Let me focus on that first. And I'm glad that we did, because I don't think I would have the 8-year-old version of my child I have now had I not just waited and given him the time to blossom. So I'm forever grateful for you for just, again, we don't know how we impact someone with the things that we say. We don't know when we're showing up for someone in the times that they need it. And you showed up for me, and I'm forever grateful.
Oh, thank you. You're going to make me cry too. Let's save it for the group. We'll cry at the group. The next group meeting. Okay, so I got one more question for you before we close this out. So if you could give 2 pieces of advice to yourself, a younger version of you, what would they be? And it could be related to business. It could be related to parenting. It could be related to being a woman, whatever. What would you say to yourself?
I think the first thing that comes to mind is be kind. Be kind to yourself. That's what I would tell me. Be kind, because we beat ourselves up worse than the world can do for us, right? And I think for me, I would say that be kind. And the other one would be understanding that it's okay to not be okay. Because I think for a while I struggle with that, that the mask that we put on at times for people, because we play so many different roles in our life. I know, speaking for me, that mask, I had to take that mask off and realize, like, I'm not okay. There are some days where I am just not okay. And that's okay to be that. I don't have to be strong for everybody, for everything, for all that's going on around me. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. And it's okay to just say, look, I need help.
Yeah,
I need help. So that's what I would say to myself. Like, be kind to myself. Just know that if I'm not okay, I'm not okay.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good advice. I like that. And I hope that anyone that's listening to the podcast, words coming from an absolutely brilliant therapist and a brilliant human being, and that they can apply those words to their daily practice in life. and listen to that advice because it's solid. That is solid advice. Well, thank you. Thank you for coming on my podcast. I love you so much. You're so amazing.
Thank you for doing this. You don't know, Nicole, how this is going to go. I'm telling you so far.
Oh, I hope so.
Again, an environment, a platform for us parents to come on, business owners to come on and just share.
Yes, I hope.
Bring it weird.
I hope so, and maybe that one person that listened to this podcast today, and it might just be one person. Hey, we'll grow. It's fine. But who knows? Maybe we gave that person what they needed to hear driving to work, trying to figure out whether or not they were going to get through their day. And we gave them that today. So that's my hope. That's my goal for this podcast.
Absolutely. And it'll happen.
Arilea, tell everyone how they can get a hold of you, how they can reach out to you.
Yes, phone number is 772-262-6786. And we are also on Facebook, Chances Advocates LLC. And we're on Instagram as well.
Yes.
We also have a website that you can reach out and connect with us as well.
Fantastic. And I'm also going to plug her therapy practice. If you are looking for a therapist, she may have a wait list because she's that good. But I would definitely reach out and get on that wait list if you can.
And to add to that with the therapy component too, it's not just for autism, because sometimes people call it like, oh, you're, and I'm like, no, it's for everything else as well. But
yes, thank you for saying that, including adults, right? Primarily adults.
Correct.
Yeah. So like if you're the mom, right? The mom, the dad, the grandparent, the caregiver, the adoptive parent, the aunt, uncle, whatever you may be. Let's say you don't have kids at all. That's okay. Right. Aurelia will see you. If you are a veteran and you are struggling with PTSD, if you are a business owner and you are struggling with anxiety, like most of us do, Aurelia can absolutely help guide you through that part of your life and help.
And especially if you're a healthcare worker, that's something I'm trying to put a focus on too, because healthcare workers, we take care of everybody else but ourselves. So letting nursing homes, emergency room nurses, social workers, whoever. If you need it, call.
Yes.
We're here.
Yes. All right. Awesome. Thank you again. Everyone, please tune in. The episodes will drop every Friday at the Adult and Pediatric Institute podcast. Anywhere that you listen to your podcast, you can now find our podcast, whether that is Spotify, Apple, YouTube, all the different ones. You can find our podcast. Please listen in, especially this month if you have a loved one that has autism or you have autism, or you're questioning, does my child have autism? This is the month that you want to listen into the podcast because we're going to be talking a lot about autism this month, a lot about resources, how to navigate this world of special needs parenting. And thank you, everyone, again for listening. Go out and conquer your day.